Hey guys, this is the It's All Just Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Tim Warren, and I have today Andrew Squibb as my guest. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Tim. Thanks for having me.
So you're the head of sales at Helium.
I am.
And you have been in the advertising industry for at least a decade.
15 years.
So you've got a lot of experience with clients and the way things work, and you've been around this, the boat a few times.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Yes.
So today, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking to our audience. And obviously, on this podcast, we talk about marketing success, what drives successful marketing campaigns. And the audience loves to hear, not just search, but the world of marketing.
Sure.
And so one thing I wanted to ask you, because I know we've had many, many conversations about clients and campaigns and what's successful, but you mentioned something to me recently that was really interesting, which is you have a friend who's in marketing, who's a head of marketing, or actually a president now, whose approach for his brand, he's at about a $100, $200 million company. And he says he doesn't do a marketing initiative or channel if he can't dominate that channel. He basically is like, I either need to dominate what, radio, TV, search, social, whatever, or I'm going to stay out of it. Why does he take that approach? Because I feel like so many companies say, hey, I don't have the budget to dominate paid. Or I don't have the budget to dominate social. I don't have the budget to dominate TV. So I'll dip my toe in and I'll do what I can. But that's not his approach. Why does he do that?
Because when you're trying to drive audience, you're trying to drive customer acquisition in a competitive space, you're just not going to do it at the volume needed if you dip your toe in. You have to drive enough audience and enough volume in competitive, whether it be retail. So if you're selling furniture, you're selling cars, you can't sell just one. You got to sell lots. But in order to sell lots, you got to talk to a lot of people. And so one TV spot, one email, one full page in a newspaper, whatever it might be, isn't going to be enough. You have to do enough to drive enough audience and really take a sales philosophy of you're going to lose 70% of the time. 70% of the people are going to walk in, not buy your thing, and leave. So if you do it, if you dip your toe in that philosophy, you're only dipping your toe in and enough to win a small audience. And if you lose 70% of a small audience, you're not winning anything, and you're not driving any return for that investment, or you're not selling anything.
There's no return.
There's no return. So being able to do it at scale. Now, listen, if you have the budget to do it across all mediums, you should do so. Because if you can win in TV and win in radio and win in podcasting and win in email, then you're going to know exactly where you're winning, and you're going to be the top player. You're going to get most of the traffic in the audience, and that'll drive as long as you understand how to convert those people, it should drive the right result. But that's really how he thinks about it. That's how a lot of our customers are starting to think about it. And that's why I think with digital, you can really own and win a channel, whether that be social, whether that be email, whether that be programmatic, whether that be OTT, whether that be podcasting. And you can get to your niche audience. If you know how to convert that audience, you're going to drive and you're going to win. You can test and really dominate there rather than spend a little bit of money across 50 channels. Let's spend really good money across 5 channels and really get as much of the volume of that audience as we can. We're seeing that drive a lot of results for customers.
So I want to get your question on this, Andrew, because you mentioned a couple things that are very interesting. But one thing I'm thinking about is right now this debate of TV and traditional media.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times you talk to people and they, I get the thing all the time. Oh, TV's dead, right? YouTube's the new TV.
Yeah.
TV's dead. TV's dead. Now I'm 37, right? So I don't pay for cable. I have YouTube. I have Hulu. We have all the streaming services, but I don't pay for TV. I don't pay for cable, right? Don't have a home phone. I'm like that. I'm that demographic, right? And then you have Gen, whatever the new one is, Gen Zers or whatever what's the newest generation now? Like
I think it's
Gen Zers or whatever, where it's like they're like I don't even want to own a car. I'm just gonna Uber everything, or Turo everything. Like, oh wow, it's like a whole different animal. So what are your thoughts on traditional? Because you're talking about paid, winning in traditional media, which is expensive and very, very that's incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to get your thoughts on that, because what some brands have done is just said, fine, if TV's dying, I'm going to exit. I'm going to go all into digital.
Yeah.
But digital is also hyper competitive, and so you can't just say, well, not TV, I'll own on social. Well, social is also super competitive.
Yeah. So we're seeing advertisers dominate in niches. So we got a couple that own sports. So they're going to do TV, but they're just going to do sports. And so when there's, the local
So you mean they're
teams
only
are
going
on,
to advertise on
around
sporting
sports
events,
content. Yeah,
but
so
they'll stay out of news.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's super competitive. But if they can own, right? Now, there might be lots of advertisers in the sports content, but they might be the only of their kind.
Got it.
So they don't care about the other car dealers or whatever, right? But if they're not a car dealer, then that's great for them. That's really what we're seeing because it allows them to be there and then but not be everywhere within it and have to buy all the different types of TV. They can buy exactly what they want. So, as long as those advertisers have the right attribution model, that it works because they can then see, okay, our traffic is up once we run the spot during the game or whatever it might be.
So this is actually really interesting because so many marketers I talk to, I think they're this debate of like, what is dying and what should I stay away from?
Yeah.
And what's the new thing, right? But yet, like, very few marketers I know are going to put the whole budget to TikTok. Right? Because that's way too risky. And also, all these other platforms have so many users to convert.
Correct.
But you said something really interesting I want to stop on, which is you can't own all of TV. You don't have the money. Okay, it's not a political campaign.
Right.
You can drop $10 billion for everyone to know your name. So, but what these guys are doing is they're picking and saying, okay, I can only own sports, maybe only in Cincinnati.
You're right.
And so I'm going to run for every major sporting game or event in Cincinnati only during these windows, and my brand's going to be over and over and over again. So are they choosing the strategy to say, I would only rather play in a couple channels in a couple markets, but I want to be everywhere. So that the few eyeballs on that segment see me all the time versus a bunch of eyeballs see me a few times.
Yeah, I think it depends on the market. In this market, it's a pretty big sports town. So the eyeballs are big. So if you're going to own sports, you still get a lot of eyeballs.
In Cincinnati.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have pro football, we have a big college football audience, we have pro baseball, we now have Major League Soccer. So if you're going to own in that arena, you are still getting a lot of audience, which is really good. If that's your audience, then you should own it. And then that makes a lot of sense to me because you have to identify the audience who converts. And if that's what they're watching, just go all in there. Don't go all in everywhere with that medium, right? And then use that, find that audience digitally. So that audience, they watch the Bengals game, but they also are online. Where are they? And they're also searching in a paid and organic environment. So you got to get them both. But if you've identified them there, just go in there. That's what we're seeing.
Why that's interesting to me is just thinking through this. I've heard this, and I know tons of statistics are statistics get made up all the time, but I've heard that the average person needs to see or engage with your brand 7 times before they make a purchasing decision.
Correct.
Right. So if you are a software company or e-commerce or whatever, they need to see that. Right. They're not going to Google see you buy. Right.
Correct.
They're going to Google see you, think about it later, come back, see your social, come back, see your LinkedIn ad, come back, then convert. Right. Whatever. So what's interesting there is, and I thinking about this, I've never really thought about this before because TV is not my space, but you're right. If I am watching, Bengals games, and for the whole season I'm watching Bengals, and it's like this ad pops up, and this brand, 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 and I see it so many times, but I never see it on any other channel. When I have the problem that I need solved in that space, I'm going to remember that brand.
Probably.
Because they got their logo in front of me 7 times.
Yep. Versus
if you market to a super wide group of people and they see your logo 1 or 2 times, they're not ready to convert. They're not. Correct. You didn't actually build brand awareness.
Right.
You failed. So I think that's what he's saying is if you go much more narrow where you can really dominate, it's probably this idea of I'm going to pick a small enough audience where I can get my logo in front of them like 15 times. So that those people are ready to buy when they're ready to buy.
Yeah, and
they'll buy
think
from me.
Yeah, and I think you have to layer in. You have to retarget them. So they're going to come to the website, and then what are they going to do? You got to stay in front of them because, I think it's 90% of internet traffic is mobile. So people are on their phones 90% of the day, right? All day. So
totally.
So if they're going to see the ad, and then because they're a diehard Bengals fan, so every game they see your ad, and then they go online, they go to your website. But they're going to be online way more than they're going to watch a Bengals game throughout a week.
Right.
That's a 4-hour window.
Right.
But they're online, I don't know, 100 hours a week.
Yeah, right.
Embarrassingly, probably, if you think about people.
Most of the time while they're sitting at work.
Most of the time, well.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Not at our company.
Yeah, not at our company.
Other people's companies.
So you have to engage them and stay in front of them. So the retargeting element is really important. So we talk to our customers about, listen, if you're going to do that, great, but what's the follow-up digital strategy? What are you doing? If they don't remember you'd be surprised too how many of our advertisers say, why is our organic up? Yeah, because they see the logo and they see the name, but they don't remember exactly, how it's written on the screen.
Yeah.
So they go to Google and they find it organically because like, oh yeah, that's the one. So you see the organic, kind of match it, and then we retarget off of, and the TV you should be retargeting off of that, so that you're getting the constant views, because people are, again, only doing that sporting event once a week. So what are you doing the rest of the week? You got to stay in front of them, right? Because Bengal games end, you move on with your life.
That's right.
But you don't move off your phone.
So you mentioned retargeting, Andrew, and one of the things that I think is interesting there is I think so many brands, especially I would say B2B, B2C maybe is a little bit better about this, but B2B, which is a decent base of our customers here at Helium, I feel like retargeting is still something that B2B companies are figuring out, or they're not really going all in on retargeting.
Agreed.
And maybe it's because they think retargeting is for B2C or for e-commerce, right? Oh, that's for if you're trying to sell shoes. Totally retargeting.
Yeah.
But like, we sell software, doesn't make as much sense, right? So what are your thoughts on retargeting, and how much should brands be investing in retargeting?
I think that the other thing with B2B is I think a lot of them feel like they only have one option, which is LinkedIn. And so it's like, to exactly do account-based marketing, that's probably a really good idea. You're probably right if you're a B2B marketer. But my thought is those people that you're trying to talk to, they have lives.
Yeah.
They're on the internet doing lots of things all day long. And why not stay in front of them? So we talk to our B2B customers about just a baseline retargeting. If someone comes to your website, especially in a B2B environment, you can make the argument in a B2C environment that people go to those websites for fun. You go to a car dealership because you just want to see what the new car is.
Right.
You saw your buddy drive it and you just want to see it. You go to a Zillow or a real estate website because you just want to see the latest and greatest house.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not actually serious. But in a B2B environment, most of the people aren't going to a website that's a B2B for fun. They're going because they have a need or an outage, or their boss said,
good point.
What's this software? What's this thing I heard? Hey, my buddy who's also a CEO buys this. We should too, or we should look into it. I'm not going there because I'm bored. I'm going there because I have a need,
right?
Because somebody referred it to me or somebody asked me to go look into it.
There's no window shopping.
There's no window shopping. So that means that the user's 90% of the time really serious. So shouldn't you stay in front of them? I'm not super serious to buying a home because I went and checked out my buddy's house on Zillow.
Right.
So Zillow retargets me. Probably not. But a B2B software that can help my sales team grow leads and help them prospect, I'm probably a serious buyer for that. So you should stay in front of me.
Right.
And I'm not just on LinkedIn all day long.
Right.
I have kids. I'm on other websites. I'm a sports enthusiast. I'm on those websites. I'm reading content when my downtime, instead of, when I don't work, I'm reading about coaching and sports and my favorite sports teams. So staying in front of me, but that doesn't mean that during the workday I'm not a decision maker.
Right.
I am, but at 8 o'clock at night, when I've just worked for 12 hours, I want to do something else. I'm still really important. I'm just doing something else.
You're somewhere online.
Yeah, so I'm somewhere online, so you could stay in front of me. So that's what we talk to our B2B customers about, is the people that you're trying to buy, that trying to get to buy your products, they have personalities and they have lives, and they're online.
And so retargeting is the best way to not be able to know and predict what their life is, but following them wherever they go. Because whether their interests are cats, sports in your case, or woodworking,
doesn't matter. They're still a decision maker.
It's going to follow them around.
During their workday, they still make the decision. Who cares if they go build chairs on a Saturday?
Right.
They're still, right? On Monday, they're who you want to buy.
Because you're getting your brand in front of them. So this is interesting. What I'm feeling and understanding, tying the knot or the loop here between is whether it's TV and choosing to do a very small amount of like channels or grouping, like just sports, right?
Yeah.
Not entertainment, not
right.
news, not whatever, just sports, and maybe even certain sporting events and teams. Because the idea is I'm going to get my logo in front of them 7 times, 10 times, 15 times, because then I'm actually going to influence a buyer.
Correct.
This idea with retargeting is the same thing, which is I can't get them to stay on my site for 25 minutes and make a buying decision right now, but I can get them to my site for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I can get them to leave and come back using retargeting, but I have to be smart about having really good retargeting campaigns where I'm constantly getting these people back and staying top of mind, which is essentially the same thing of you're buying shoes at 8 p.m. at night, or you're looking at lacrosse coaching, and this ad pops up again. You're like, oh, okay. And your limbic subconscious brain sees this ad, one more touch point.
Yep, one more touch point.
Right?
Yep. And then they call me, or then when they do put great content on LinkedIn,
right?
When I am engaged, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna probably ask questions. I'm gonna send it to somebody and say, hey, what do you think about this? Now we're going. Now I'm engaged. Now I'm a little bit farther down the funnel.
Right.
Then when I get an email or call from them, we're at a pretty tight window, right?
So you have a better relationship with the brand.
Yeah, I do.
So what are some other as we pivot through this, because I think what Chris has done, which I think is really smart, and their company's grown a lot, right? Their company has doubled in size. So something, his idea here must be working. Some things are working, but the takeaways I have there are pick fewer channels and go deeper and go better in those fewer channels than spreading out and being all things to all people. What are your thoughts on that? Now we pivot into the digital arena.
Yeah.
Right? Because we get asked all the time from clients, what about social? What about organic social? What about paid social? What about TikTok? What about Snapchat? What about, okay, we're doing Google, we're doing SEO, we're doing paid. What about Bing? Should we be doing this?
Yep.
There's a million places to spend money online. What about email marketing, right? What about outdoor, out of home? What about billboards, programmatic? There's all these things, right? So what are some things that you and your team, how do you guys answer these questions?
Yeah. So the way that we answer them is, can you do it enough to make an impact? If people are searching for your products and services or your industry enough, more than they would be likely to receive an email. Right. One email one time is not going to get it done.
No.
You got to email a lot
of times.
But if that doesn't outweigh the search, then you probably need to be where the people are. We try to just make it simple, and where's the audience and where's the audience not, and what can you get? What's more valuable? Is it running social campaigns, or is it, hey, every time this keyword is searched for, there's 50,000 searches. If I can go from getting 2,000 people to come to my website or 4, that's going to convert way faster than having to send out 30 emails.
Right.
So we're just asking these questions and getting people to think about these returns and then showing the data.
Yes.
And then letting it speak for itself a lot of times. As it relates to social, it's the same thing. Is your audience there? So when someone says to us, hey, someone said we should do TikTok, our first question is do you believe your audience is on TikTok? I don't actually. Then what do we? Does it make sense? No, probably not. Is your audience the part of the 50,000 people who are searching for these 5 terms? Yes, it's exactly. I want to drive traffic to all of those pages on my website. Well, then we should probably look at that.
Which probably be over
if no one's on TikTok, totally fine. And I think it's just making them feel comfortable with it's okay that you're not on TikTok if your audience isn't on TikTok, right? If your audience is on TikTok, go do it.
And the person who told you have to be on TikTok, they could be in a completely different scenario.
Correct.
Different business.
Correct.
Their whole audience is on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right.
So of course you have to be.
Like, oh my gosh, we're killing it on TikTok.
Yeah.
But then for you, it's the idea is we're killing it on this channel where our audience is.
Yep.
You shouldn't hear them say we're killing it on TikTok. You should hear them say I'm killing it on this audience.
Correct.
This channel where all of my audience is. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Right.
Of course.
And so for you, LinkedIn might be your TikTok.
Correct.
Right.
So we're trying to help customers through that journey, through data, and just through logical thinking of how are people coming to your website, and show them what we're seeing. And if they're coming through Instagram, we need to tell them that. That's the other thing we need to do is we need to be brutally honest.
Right.
So if they're coming through that channel, we need to say, they are coming through this channel. Let us help you do more. Hey, you might have had 3 sales last month on Instagram, but you only had 5 people come to the website. Right. So your conversion rate is high. So stay there. Super high. But it's not $1 million worth. It's this portion of your budget.
Right.
And then the rest of your traffic came this way. You should probably, make your investment match the traffic. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's really good. That's what we do. We try to ask good questions. We don't make it complicated. And the good questions are, where's your audience? Is that who you want it to be? If you want the audience that's on TikTok, then okay, now we're talking about brand reversal and rebranding and repositioning ourselves in the marketplace. That's
right.
different than
Right.
my audience is men and women 30 to 70. Okay, they're not on TikTok as much,
Right.
so let's go find them. If you don't want that audience to change, that's okay. Find the right channels.
Or now you sell to anyone in Montana.
Yeah.
TikTok's no longer your audience.
Yeah, right.
Because it's now banned.
It's
in
now
Montana.
banned in Montana. Right, exactly.
Right.
So
100%.
if they're in your top 5 states of sales, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, if you're selling cowboy boots in Montana,
Yeah.
TikTok's not your play because they can't buy from you.
Correct. And knowing that kind of stuff and asking those types of questions.
So I want to ask this because we're obviously Helium's a search marketing company, right? We focus on search marketing, but yet we're talking about all these different things, which we talk about with our clients, helping understand, well, TV, where should I be? What about social? What is other things? Why don't we do these other things? Like, why do we stay out of social, organic social? We do paid.
Yeah.
But why do we not do organic social, understanding that the clients we serve, their audience could play there?
We have made a strategic decision to double down where we win really well and where we can drive the best results for clients. And that is in the organic search space, the paid search space, and the paid social space. And then now really sort of the content space as well.
Right.
And in there, I think is retargeting and remarketing across LinkedIn and some other channels. That's really why, is because I think we want to be the best at what we do. Just like we talked about with an advertiser where we said, hey, if you know your audience watches Bengals games, you don't got to buy all the TV, just buy that.
Right.
Well, same with us. We do that really, really well. And so every time we engage with a customer, we can look them in the eye and say, we do these things really well. If you come on board and do these things with us, you're going to get best in class. And so that's really worked well for us, is we can look them confidently in the eye and say, for this investment, you're getting the best. The best technology, the best engineering, the best thought leadership, the best strategy. And so we've doubled down there.
Yeah, and I would add to that, looking at it, I would say that each of these channels has its own algorithm. Mm-hmm. And we have just determined, at the company size we have, 50, 60, 70 employees, we just can't understand every algorithm to the nth degree as much as we need to really maximize results. Mm-hmm. And so we stay out of algorithms that we don't truly know well. Yeah. We know Google's algorithm, we know Google paid, and being paid, and we know paid social. Mm-hmm. But these other algorithms are really different. The organic social algorithms are different. Like TikTok's very different than LinkedIn. Correct. LinkedIn's very different than Google. They're very different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because as we're having this conversation, what I'm seeing is Helium's taking the same approach, which is let's not spread ourselves super thin and do everything.
Correct.
Let's stay very focused where we can really win, where we're the best.
Correct.
And that sounds like this marketer that with a company that's doubled, that's exactly what he's done with his marketing strategy as well. Let's advertise in fewer places, but advertise there more aggressively, and only do it in a way we can dominate, because otherwise we spread ourselves too thin to win. Correct.
That's exactly right. And I think it's finding the right audience, and just that 7 to 10 rule. That's been a rule since I got into advertising and marketing, and it hasn't gone anywhere. It's still the case. What you just said of 7 times, that was the same statement that was told to me when I got into it 15 years ago, right? So that's still real.
Must be right.
And so it's probably right, I would say.
Yeah.
And I would say, too, it's right in the sales side, too. Like, you're not going to get a prospect to say yes after one email. You got to talk to them 7 to 10 times because of the competition. Well, same in advertising. That's right. So if that is true, and it's been true for a long time, then that model of doing enough right to where you can get 7 to 10 touches, if your budget's big enough and you can get 7 to 10 touches in every medium in America, you should do it. But if it's not, then you got to be smart about it. And where can I get 7 to 10 touches? And then and 7 to 10 touches where my audience is.
That's right.
Not just 7 to 10 touches where they're not. They have to be there, and you have to know they're there.
Yeah, so we're running out of time for this episode, but one thing I'll say on this is one term I'll use, Andrew, is this idea of a digital watering hole.
Yeah.
Right. So like the safari, right? Where should the lion, if he wants to, get dinner, does he like spend all of his energy walking through the fields trying to find, zebras, or does he just crouch in the grass right outside the watering hole, wait for them to come to him?
Correct.
That's what they do.
Yes.
Right. He's just like, I'm going to chill here, and they got to drink at some time.
Yep.
I'm going to wait here. Right. that's the same idea that we try to use for clients is what are the digital watering holes? Where are your ideal customers spending time online?
Mm-hmm.
Don't create those. Just advertise and put yourself in the places where those people are going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So whether that's organic search and picking the keywords they already search,
Correct.
rank there. Don't create new ones. It's very hard to generate search demand. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is very hard, but it's very easy to capitalize on it.
Correct.
Right. So it's the same idea of knowing your audience, knowing where they are. And don't try to promote that they should be on TikTok. Just go to the social where they play.
Correct.
Well, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
This has been fantastic,
Awesome.
and I appreciate the feedback. Guys, thanks for listening. This has been the It's All Just Marketing podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one.